So, a question from the audience: how do you determine buy and sell zones in short-term trade for long-term investment and a long-term investment? So, how do you manage the buy and sell zones for a short-term trade and for a long-term
Mhm.
investment?
Watch this show. 72 EMA, 200-day moving average, 400 moving average. Ideally, if it drops to the 400, you want to buy there. 200 will be second, 72 moving average will be third. How long do you want to hold? 5 years. It's not my fault if you pull a wrong kitty and buy a bullshit company because you wanted to. The weed companies and biopharma. No, we're here to hold for a long period of time. Do the same thing with your trades and you're good. Please put it in chat. Investing and trading is not complicated. We make it that way. 72, 200, 400. When I asked y'all, hey, how often should I put out content? Like right in the beginning. Shaw was like, shit, every day. There was no more follow-up after that. You can do 8, 12, and 3. Start there, you'll be good. Okay, good. 8, 12, and 3. If the team don't have something out, I'll be on that. Y'all not getting paid. What's up? It's 805. Cool. You want to get paid? You want to get paid on time and send an invoice? Make sure to post up. Cool. Some things are so simple, but the hardest part is like we want to make something more complicated. Well, what about if the halving hits and then the moon cycles in a crescent position? 200-day moving average, 472. Buy zone has to be based on time, or if you get to 500% return, you want to potentially exit there. Your first exit can be 100%. That's
Mhm.
it. Or watch the show and we'll tell you when to exit.
Yeah.
If I've made you money, please put yes in chat.
Yeah, that'd be like the rule of thumb. The first rule of thumb: get
Yep.
back to the initial investment. If you get back to
Yep.
your initial investment, you don't feel there's not a loss. You've got back what you invested.
It's up. Even people like, yo, y'all doing Invest Fest this year? Yeah. Market Mondays. Yeah. What you doing today? The same thing every Monday. Stock Club. Yep. Consistency wins, man. Consistency wins.
So, how do you feel about BlackRock and Citadel supporting a Texas stock exchange? They said it's going to be
Oh boy.
a rival to Nasdaq and New York Stock Exchange, a lot less regulation,
Mhm.
and I think they've raised like 70 million, something like that already. So, what's your thoughts on a new Texas stock exchange?
I thought we could talk about part of some blackout too, but my first thought was in times of compression, you're going to see a lot more collaboration. We talk about it all the time, like collaboration beats competition. They're two of the biggest. They're two of the biggest market makers. I don't know if they'll ever compete with Nasdaq, but I'm wondering in that crypto space, what do they have planned? Because I don't think they can take down the New York Stock Exchange or Nasdaq. They have too much of a lead based on time. But I did find it interesting at the same time when Roy and Kitty and all the retail investors were saying we're going to overthrow this industry. The powers that be came together and said, okay, well, let's put an exchange in Texas and let's see how much we'll let you overthrow our industry that we took over. The vultures are clever. Y'all can say what y'all want to, but when they get to collaborating in them little back rooms, it's tough. So I don't know if it would be great for retail traders. A lot of people are asking about 24-hour trading. I want to tell you now, futures have always been open 24 hours since I've been trading them. You're still going to have the American Open, American Close, London, and Asian session as the prime time. So just because you have more hours to trade doesn't give you better moves. But I think it's really interesting when we're having compression, tightening in the markets. There's only maybe 14 to 15 companies that are doing incredibly well on the market. They now choose to make an exchange to get more dominance while they own majority of real estate. But yeah, what do I know? But it's a lot more time going back to the BRICS conversation too. There's a lot more collaboration in areas that we didn't see prior to.
All right. Yeah, Texas. Somebody said in the comments they was like, the United States is gonna have like a civil split, and Texas is gonna be the financial capital of the red states.
The Lone Star State.
I can see it.
Texas,
Governor Abbott called me. Send me some money, my boy.
Miami.
I'm not a
So I don't know if
Republican, but
Miami's considered a red state. I mean,
it may flip.
it's been flipped, but I just it's not hardcore red. It's been red for
For the last
10
couple
years.
of cycles.
Yeah.
But Miami is definitely a financial capital for sure, and is
Mhm.
getting more and more. into the financial capital situation.
Mhm.
And Austin, Texas has been a hub. Texas, no state income tax in the state of Texas.
Yeah. Charlotte,
Mhm.
another financial capital.
Yep.
The number 2 financial capital outside of New York, which is a lot of people have
Number 2, banking.
banking. Sorry, banking
Banking.
capital.
Yeah.
Banking capital, which is most people
Yep.
have no idea. But the
Yep.
money's
Money.
moving.
Yep.
What do you think about Celsius as a stock? And do you believe it will continue to perform well over the next few years?
I like the stock. I told you guys about it a couple years ago, a couple months ago.
Yeah,
Excuse
this was
me,
on our
months ago.
list a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Maybe a few months ago. Yep.
Yeah. Doing incredibly well. If you haven't had a chance to buy it, I would probably wait for a low to boat price would be 47.56 if it ever got that low, and then on like a shorter side, if it got down to 57, I would like it. I like it long term. I think it ran up too fast because in February it went from 62 up to 95 really quickly. Strong business. Monster has had one of the greatest returns of all time for any publicly traded company. I don't know if Celsius will mimic that, but they will do well over time. Buy at the right price points and hold for a long period of time. And I'm gonna be super honest, man. I don't know a show. Shout out to Mary and everybody at NBC, Universal, and CNBC. But I don't know any show on CNBC or that has outperformed us return wise either. Not that hard. Just follow the blueprint. VO, VTI, AMD, NVIDIA, ASML. Like back in the day, Rashad gave you Franklin Dynatech. Man, our batting percentage is insane. Insane. Just hold for the long term. Celsius is great. Wingstop is great.
Can we stay there for
Eli
2
Lilly,
seconds?
amazing. Of course.
What will you be talking about at InvestFest?
Hold on before you do that, because I want to. This happened, and it might have been like glossed over by some people, but
Yeah.
PepsiCo, because we're talking about Celsius, we're talking about drinks, and I'm
Yep.
thinking like recently, it used to be Coke. Coke obviously is a brand, and Pepsi is number 2, and then everybody else is number 3. And for the first time in like maybe 30 years, Pepsi is not number 2. It's now Dr. Pepper has surpassed it.
Which is, I didn't know that many people drink Dr. Pepper.
I've never had Dr. Pepper, but every time I watch football in the South, I always see Dr. Pepper commercials. So that tells me that the marketing budget is ridiculous, which means they're bringing a lot of money, but it's past it. PepsiCo is owned by Keurig. I mean, not PepsiCo. Dr. Pepper is owned by Keurig. What are your thoughts on that passing as far as like the Celsius will probably be in that top 10, but now PepsiCo falling down. How far of a fall do you think it'll have?
Pepsi's been sliding since the Keurig Dr. Pepper merger was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I like the brands. I don't know if I would put them ahead of Pepsi yet. Pepsi has, let me look. I mean, it could potentially fall down to 155. If I can get it there, I will. Or let's say 150 flat. I would love it. They've been falling the last few days as a result, but Pepsi, if you look at the overall return for the last 4 or 5 years, they've been doing incredibly well. And going back to like 2009, they were at $54. That's a great return. That's a great like safe return to get 3x over that time period. So I don't know if the Keurig Dr. Pepper will take them over in terms of like market cap, but I do think we're starting to see like some change in of guard in major industries.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Coke was one of Buffett's favorites. I don't love it personally. I like Pepsi a lot better, but even Coke as a stock has performed incredibly well. So that entire soft drink space, even though it's not the healthiest for you, the stocks have done incredibly well.
Yeah, when you think Keurig, most people think coffee. It's the first thing I think of, right? We've had plenty of those machines in my household for sure. But then reading that, once I saw that happened, it's like, all right, well, let's rabbit hole it. Who owns them? Where's that? What was the acquisition for? It was like 18 billion, I think, like in 2017. So return on investment, I would say, right? They're starting to see the market share move. You're seeing it everywhere. Like I said, if you watch, football is the king, obviously, as far as live sporting events in America, for sure. And if you watch college football, it's Dr. Pepper everything. Every Saturday, that's the commercial that comes on. It's either that or Allstate in between games. So
for sure.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah, go ahead though.
Okay. Yes. Shout out to Dr. Pepper. What will you be talking about at InvestFest?
I will be talking about live trading. So I'll be walking people through. Of course, I'm going to do long-term investing for about 20 slides, but I'm going to walk through futures trading. So like how to use a short target, how to use a long target, I'm going to show a live loss, going to show live wins, how to recover. I think I've talked about the long-term investing part ad nauseum, but I think the part and piece that people really want to get is the trading part down. So that's what I'm going to be covering. And I'm going to be giving away 10 grand cash live on stage. So I'm looking forward to that. I started working on the stage show element last night. Can't wait. I can't wait. I've been working on this presentation probably for like 2 months now. So I'm super excited. And for those, if you've been there, like I put on the show when it comes to the shows. So get there early, be well rested, get your notepad out. I personally want to make my presentation worth the return on investment for the entire InvestFest weekend. That's my aim. Mav went up there, went crazy. Oh, excuse me. Who was it? Was Mav up there?
Mav was up there. He was up there with Lonzo Ball and Humble.
Rich went crazy.
Rich went crazy. Yeah, Rich went crazy.
Yeah,
Humble went crazy too. Shout out to Humble.
Humble did too. Yeah. So I've been watching the interviews back. Like, okay, I gotta add some of this to the bag. And, shout out to my Red Panda family. We're gonna be back on stage and we're gonna kill this shit.
Shout out to the photographers at InvestFest. They had a report about Lonzo Ball paying for Angel Reese's technical foul of the day, and
that's fire.
When I saw it was him at InvestFest.
Yeah.
Shout out to Johnny Nunez. He's in the algorithm.
Heavy,
yo. All over the world. I'm like, damn.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Jesus.
All right. Is now a good time to invest in stocks in India?
I get the sentiment, and I think it's a great question. I want to invest in companies that have exposure, that are multinational corporations that have exposure to India. I don't love their ETFs yet. I think maybe in another 4 or 5 years, they probably would take off. It's not a top 10 investment for me, but companies like Apple, of course, Microsoft, Walmart, have exposure to India. Another thing we was talking about the stock club called that they own Flipkart, and Flipkart has Shopton Co has a majority market share there in India. So I like companies that have exposure to India, opposed to investing in the ETFs directly. But I do think India's economy probably is the most important over the next 10 to 15 years for growth. And that's why we're seeing a lot of our favorite companies here have flagship headquarters there.
Yeah, and the market is something very impressive when it comes to India. I think that was this like surprising statistic that like 85% of option trades are happening inside of India, which I was just blown away by. But I mean, if you look at the history of their market over the past, I'd say 5 years, you've seen a historic climb.
Absolutely.
I'm just not big on international investing at this point in my career.
At this point, yeah.
At this point,
yeah.
At some point, maybe I will, but not at this point.
Yeah, because any major corporation, they're going to have exposure to all the major companies. Because like remember 4 years ago, it was what about exposure to China? But if you don't know the policies that are pushed in the other countries, it can have a dramatic effect. Like Alibaba should be much higher than what it is right now. They still haven't bounced back. So yeah, for that reason, I have to stay in the States when it comes to investing.